welcome to this particular presentation, and we had the lectures on the design of the steel, that is the connections, the joints, and as well as the design of the rivets and design of the weldeds, and as well as the compression members, and as well as the eccentric connections. We have seen the lacings, battens. We have seen the various terminology and related contexts with reference to each and every topic in our lecture. And coming to this particular today's lecture, I would like to focus, and most of the doubts and some of the doubts I have clarified during your presentations, and I request a few minutes if you have any doubts with the previous topic which I explained. So please put your questions and I will try to solve your particular doubts. This is the first few minutes. Then the remaining one is coming to the practical examples, some of the questions that I am going to solve which are normally expected in your competitive examinations. So my dear friends, now your session starts now. So any questions related with the topics with reference to the connections, and the connections can be anything with reference to the rivets, with reference to the bolt, with reference to the weld, and sections, steel sections as per IS 800 2007, and third one the design, that is mainly the strength calculations, and compression members, and lacings and battens. So coming to this particular one, I would like to request my dear students, so if you have any questions, please proceed to the doubt session before I go to solve some numerical examples. So the first one, Dashkund World Electronics ka class kya month. So this is not related with this one, Mr. Dashkund. This is related with the civil, and they will update you. And coming to Rakesh Tiwari and as well as the Mr. Saroj Biswas, in this class also useful for GATE and ESC. It's a very good question, Mr. Saroj Biswas, as you made it. Definitely, as I mentioning in all my lectures, the examination is different, the pattern of the questions are different, the time allocation is different, and the context in the question is different, but among all these things, whatever the questions which we are going to solve for irrespective of any type of examination, but these lectures are, the concept is useful to crack any of the examinations. So the concept doesn't change. That is a very good question, Mr. Saroj Biswas. Surely these particular classes are useful for GATE and ESC also. With a little updates, you will see it. And coming to Mr. Tushar Chandan, sir, please explain about the type of trusses, spacing and plate girder. So as Mr. Tushar, this particular topic which we have not discussed till now. So the types of trusses, spacing and plate girder is mainly in this particular one. The trusses mainly depends upon the pitch. In a general question it is, and rise and span. So we are going to calculate the rise, span, and accordingly the pitch and the slope you are going to calculate, and accordingly you are going to select the type of the truss. So the very first thing is we have to calculate this particular angle, and according to that particular one, and also the span which you have to consider, we are going to select various types of truss like king post truss, queen post truss, how truss. There are number of trusses which we have. Surely this particular pitch and the rise and all these parameters clearly will illustrate you selection of the truss. That anyway till we did not cover till now as per our plan. So surely we will come to your doubt. Coming to the further, the spacing also as you mentioned. So the spacing of the trusses, I think in your question, the spacing is a very good question. Spacing of the trusses are which you made it here. So the spacing along the, suppose in your plan you can see, so this is the truss 1 here, the next truss is behind the truss 1, and coming to here the truss 3. So like this you have n number of trussing. So this is the spacing. So as far as possible, the spacing is made in such a way the cost of the truss should be minimum. That is what we called as economical spacing of the truss. One is the roof cost, that is the cost of the roofing material and cost of the purlins which you are going to join one truss to the other, and this cost will decide the economic. And coming to your plate girder is nothing but a beam, a combination of various elements, and especially when used for bridges and all heavy loading, this particular one will be used. That is out of syllabus from this particular my questions. And coming to Sushant Garai, in this paid course, board classes or presentation class? It's a very good question, Mr. Sushant Garai. It is a very clear cut, as I am mentioning here. You see it very clearly. It is a live lectures, a recorded lecture will be supplied, followed with your doubt session. It is nothing but online and offline both here. You are going to learn with the materials also of the PDF from this particular course. And I think hope your doubt is clear, Mr. Sushanta, and it is a presentation class. It is as usual how you feel in your classes. In the same way we are going to have our app, the focus app for JE. It will clearly how you sit in your regular lectures followed with your teachers, the same way by experienced faculty what designed this curriculum you are going to learn. Hope your doubt is clear. And coming to the Sushant Garai, how to conduct a drawing class and AutoCAD? This is a very good question, Mr. Garai, Sushanta Garai, and definitely this AutoCAD drawing, a building drawing especially here, and with this building drawing is step by step how to develop this building drawing is by means of an AutoCAD. So an AutoCAD professional how you does drawing a paper and how it is transferred in a computer, how you develop. Definitely the AutoCAD also with the live lecture, with the practice examples you are going to learn from this particular the app. That is sure. Mr. Tushar Chandar, what is economical spacing? It's a very good question as you mentioned here. So as far as here you mentioned the trusses which you are going to place one behind the other. So suppose this is the length of the building and this is the width of the building. As far as your economic spacing means, the space which you decided here is made in such a way such that the cost of construction should be minimum. So the cost of construction is based on your spacing. If you go for more number of trusses rather than the less here, cost of construction will be more. So therefore economic spacing, one is you are going to calculate the roof material cost to be considered and cost of the purlins are to be considered. So this longitudinal, every truss here you are going to decide here like this. I will show you in a drawing. Coming to this particular doubt, please concentrate on this drawing. So this is the first truss here, number 1. So coming into in this direction, I have the number of trusses. So this is the truss 2, truss 3, truss 4. So like this 1, 2, 3. So I made this spacing between one to the other by means of connections, the purlins. So this particular one, the roofing material and as well as the length and as well as the spacing between the each truss, this is the spacing. So this is the spacing between first to the second and second to the third and third to the fourth. So this particular spacing which you made it clearly that the economical cost means when you place these particular trusses in a economical spacing. So if the space which you decide is economical, automatically it will make you the cost economical. Hope you understood, Mr. Tushar, what is economical. Hope. And Mr. Naga Kalyan Nama, how to find the thickness of a weld? It's a very good question, Mr. Nama, related with the welding. So this particular one, coming to the welding section, whenever we join two members, so this is one plate, this is one plate. Imagine you are going to join the two plates of anything, either the fillet joint or the weld joint here. If you observe the two things when you are joining, if I want to join these two plates, for example, if I have the two plates, if I am having, let us see these two plates, how I am going to join. So this is one particular plate, this is the another plate. So it is very clear from this particular example, these two plates are to be welded. So these two plates are to be welded. I am going to make exactly the welding process is done in such a way that I am going to make here the welding here. So these two plates when I am joining here, so this is the size of the weld. So this size of the weld here is nothing but this one. So imagine this is one plate and this is the another plate. Two plates are going to be welded together. So this thickness here, the size of the weld, if you observe here, this is one leg, this is the another leg, this particular one, this is the thickness here, the size of the weld is going to be calculated. The size of the weld is nothing but how this particular size, that is welding thickness. So the size of the weld should be minimum, always you should take it 6 millimeters. Size of the weld 6 millimeters is very standard. And coming to the thickness, T effective is equal to K into S. The K into S here, this is the size, and angle is normally, this value of K mainly depends upon angle of the weld. Angle of weld normally for the regular welding size we take in our welding less than 90, and therefore 70 degrees it is normally. For that one we are going to take it here, this particular value K as 0.7. Therefore the thickness of effective is equal to 0.7 into 6. So this is what the effective thickness or thickness of the weld, how you are going to calculate. And coming to the next question, ACP channel sir will expect most of the question problematic or theory based. So it's a very good question. ACP channel here, sir will expect most of the questions problematic or theory. Once again, it's a very good question. As I mentioned here, the numerical problems related to these particular topics in general, as I mentioned here, the question is mostly the time based in the competitive examination. The questions are, it is mainly the time based questions here. These time based questions, when we are seeing here, as it is 120 minutes period, 100 questions you are supposed to answer. So 120 questions in 100, almost all 1 mark 1 minute if you keep it, or 1.25, almost all your 120 minutes are over. That means only you have 1 mark if you keep, 20 marks, 20 minutes is the extra. So these questions are to be solved based on, not like the without calculator and all. When we use it, most of the questions are some questions straight away, as you mentioned previously, Mr. Nama has mentioned size. So the size is just like T is equal to K times S. It's a simple 1 mark question. And if you calculate the size of the weld, length of the weld, for example, the calculation of the area or the strength of the weld is equal to T effective into the length into stress. So this is the area of the weld multiplied with the stress. So this particular calculation, normally it consumes more time. Such questions are not possible. Therefore, some questions are theory and some questions are problematic, some questions are slightly analytical. So the questions are, all the three types are possible in the competitive examination. And as you missed, most of the questions, as I mentioned, it is the question how it takes 1 minute time, such questions only possible in the examination. How much weightage to this subject in SSC, GATE and ESC? As far as the GATE and ESC and SSC exam is different from GATE, GATE is different from ESC. And again here the weightage in the GATE examination for this particular one is out of the 75 marks in the total weightage in the GATE examination, you will get at least about 4 to 5 marks maximum in the GATE exam from this particular steel structures and 5 to 6 marks from the RCC. And coming to the ESC also, ESC it is little bit more weightage compared to the GATE in this one. And coming to the SSC, we have total about 18 subjects, are around 14 to 18 subjects when it is listed, and you can imagine 100 by 18 on an average 20 by 100 by 20, it's almost all 5 marks to 6 marks or maximum 7 marks will come in the examination. Tushar Chandan, sir, I was asking about value of economical spacing, value for roof truss is the question asked in exam. Definitely the Mr. Tushar, it's a very good question you mentioned here with reference to this particular question. As I mentioned, the economic spacing, with reference to the economic spacing or the cost, that means the cost is, T is the total cost which is there, and P is the cost of the purlin, and R is the cost of roof material. And coming to, in many competitive examination, this particular question, the T is equal to, total cost is equal to 2P plus R. This is the capital. So this is the formula can be used to compute what is the total cost of the, or we can say that if you make it for economic spacing, as you mentioned, under the economic spacing, if you want to minimize the cost, this is the total cost of the truss and the calculations of the economical spacing. And this is about the formula for economical spacing, how to calculate. I hope Mr. Tushar, your doubt is clear to you. And can you upload subject wise weightage in your RRB? Sure, in our app we have the list of the Focus JE app, list of the questions, and accordingly it is uploaded. Surely it will be, some weightages will be also added based on the analysis of the question. Surely it's a good question, Mr. ACP channel. Definitely your doubt, it's a good suggestion also to add this particular weightage for every exam. And coming to Sushanta Gari, how wind load acts on the roof truss and how to calculate. So the load calculation again on the slope on the wind loads, especially for high-raised structures, we have the design equations to calculate, that is a separate analysis, the design of the truss, the wind load analysis. The wind load analysis is mainly when you consider the analysis of the truss. The wind load is a horizontal structure, especially the wind loads at the, especially if it is a higher level, more than the 5 floors, the wind load effect is very, very high. In that particular situation, the load is the horizontal loads. So according to the directions of the IS code on wind load and seismic analysis, we have the respective equation. Please refer to the code book and use that particular one. And coming to the load and analysis here, any member, as in case of steel, you want to design, it is nothing but you can design the loads at these nodal points, and these are the reactions, and various loads can be considered on our truss, and accordingly you are going to analyze this particular truss with the help of the method of sections or method of joints and determine the magnitude of these particular forces in the truss. So, you are supposed to calculate from your analysis the various magnitudes of the force, that is also nature of the force, is it a compressive force or tension. If it is a tension member, the net sectional area, and compression member, the gross. We are going to design both analysis, that is once the load is calculated, tension member design is different from the compression member. I think Mr. Mr. Sushanta Garai, how to find the load, I think I am clear according to the wind code. And sir, when will we expected the JE CPT 1 exam results? So, the exam results with reference to the board, so please pause this particular doubt, it is not concerned with me. Shivam Singh, counsel topic, hi sir. So, the Sushant Garai, sir, how many subjects taken by your side? So, most of the subjects I handled till now in my 25 years of experience. Surely my service definitely will be useful to you, and the app will be well developed, and most of the subjects definitely to my best. Sure, I will introduce my lectures, definitely it will be benefitable to you. So, thank you very much. So, sure, from my side I will do my best, and the blessings of the God and my dear students. And coming to the Tushar Chandan, okay sir, got it, thank you. And provide schedule of the course. It's a very good question, Mr. Tushar. The schedule of the course, it is very clean, it is available. You can see the link and download the app and see the list of the courses with the preparation plan, the doubt session, everything it is already uploaded in this particular Focus JE app. So, please go through this particular one, it is already there. And coming to Naga Kalyan Nama, why bearing strength of bolt is always greater than the shear strength of the bolt. So, the bearing strength of the bolt and shear strength is always, the bolt is having the nut and rivet is having only the pin end. So, as far as the bearing strength of the bolt, and then the always the shear, always this is the weakest one. Coming to the all the three failures, the worst one, that is the one which carries the maximum load, is based on this shear. So, the shear effect in any structure is less compared with the bending effect. So, the bending effect is more in any case compared to the shear, and that is why the shear is introduced in the member because of the bending. So, this particular magnitude as well as the PS is equal to stress into area, and this particular one, this particular stress, the shear is magnitude is less compared to the bearing stress. Therefore, the bearing stress is always higher, because in a bearing here, so D minus T, that is, if you consider the bearing strength, suppose this is the number of holes. So, this N is 3, and so B is the width of this one. So, B minus ND into T into stress in the bearing. So, this stress in the bearing and shear, with reference to shear it is 100, and with reference to bearing it is around 270. So, coming to these particular values and also this particular area, and normally this particular value is higher when compared to the shear. And the shear resistance and bearing resistance, the FB value is 270, whereas the shear is only 100. That is the reason why always this is the minimum, or this is the minimum strength of the bolt, means you have to always consider in the design when you are calculating the number of the bolts, the minimum value, that is nothing but the number of bolts or nothing but the load carrying here divided by the minimum value. There you will get the maximum bolts. That means all the failures will be resisted by this one. This is why the reason bearing strength of this one is more. And coming to this Sushant Garath, the maximum permissible stress for hand driven rivet in axial tension. So the maximum permissible stress hand driven rivet in axial tension, again with reference to this one, hand driven and power driven. So there are two types of rivets, one is power driven and hand driven. According to their the magnitudes as per the code book, please refer this particular value. And Mr. Ravi Kumar sir, please Hindi, sure your language communication we will improve with your doubt session. आपका जो है जो doubts है surely हम बताएगा आपको the lecture when you get the doubts. So Madan Prakash Jaipalan, which method is easy for solving portal frame, sir? So it is very good question, and also solving the frame here by portal frames, there are n number of methods, like for example a slope deflection method, the moment distribution method, Canis method, column analysis method. So like this we have n number of methods. Which method is easy, especially for the sway and non-sway? In case of the moment distribution method is very simple, and when you come to the Canis method also more preferable compared to the this particular moment distribution. In general we use the moment distribution method, which is a very simple and easy solving, because in the slope deflection we have the more number of equations, simultaneous equations to be solved. So Mr. PS very better in the subject, sure the difficult classes already difficulty understanding have you cleared, I think in your question Mr. PS, and I am getting better in this subject as you mentioned, Ravi Kumar and Naga Kalyan Nama, thank you very much. So Jaipalan, thank you very much, and for all your doubts I welcome. And coming to the design part of this particular one, some of the questions which we are going to illustrate some design examples, as he was asking theory questions and the problems which you are going to calculate, a simple questions which are expected in the connections in the joints and the strength. Coming to the simple questions, let us see for example a simple question, the rule for the rivets. So the D is the diameter of hole and phi is the diameter or nominal dia of rivet. So the rule for D is equal to phi plus 1.5 millimeter. So if phi is less than 25, so D is equal to phi plus 2 if phi is greater than. So using this particular concept, so we can say simply calculate the diameter of the rivet hole if the diameter of the rivet is more than 26. So calculate the dia of rivet hole if phi is 24 millimeters. So it is a very clear in this particular one, you can compare the rule, the diameter is 24 millimeter, so that is less than 25, we can say D is equal to, so the 24 millimeter is the value of phi, so 24 plus 1.5, so which is nothing but 25.5 millimeters. So this is one simple question on the diameter calculation. And coming to the strength calculations of these particular rivets and the bolts, coming to the second rule with reference to the bolts, some of the expected questions in the examination, this particular diameter, so for the bolts same thing, D is equal to phi plus 1 millimeter, so D is equal to phi plus 2 millimeters, D is equal to phi plus 3 millimeters. So this particular one is given for the bolts, and accordingly to this particular rule it is very clearly mentioned the phi value. The phi value is normally here less than 14 millimeter, so phi is less than 26, it is less than 26 millimeter, and phi is greater than 26 millimeters. So this is the rule for the calculation of the diameter of the bolt hole, and accordingly let us take one example. Calculate the value of diameter of bolt hole if nominal dia, the nominal dia is 24 millimeters. So coming to this particular example, it is 24 millimeters is nothing but your value, and according to this particular one, if it is 24 millimeters, it is very clearly says that this phi is in this case less than 26 millimeters. Therefore, the diameter is equal to phi plus 2. Therefore, the nominal dia it is given as 24. So 24 plus 2, it is 26 millimeters. So this is the answer for this particular example. Coming to the strength calculations of these particular joints, this is how the diameter coming to the next question, the calculations based on the number of rivets, number of bolts, etc. So consider the following data calculate the strength of the joint or the rivet value. First one, the PS is equal to 150 kilonewton and PB 350 and PT tension it is 200 kilonewton and the load is equal to around, let us say, 250. So this is the, let us say, the PS, PB and PT, and coming to this particular value, the strength of rivet in shear, strength of rivet in bearing, strength of rivet in the tension, and the load is given. So calculate from this one strength of the joint or the rivet value, comma, number of bolts. So as far as the rule, as I mentioned, so the strength of the joint is decided in such a way such that it should be very clear, the joint should be able to resist all the failures. So the connection can be failed either by shear or by bearing or by tension. But as an engineer, the design is made in such a way, that means the rivet value and the number of rivets which you are going to calculate are to able to solve or to able to resist all the failures. That means a section should not fail in shear and bearing or tension among this one. So the least of this one is nothing but the rivet value. So the least is 150, 350, 200, the least is 150 kilonewtons. And coming to the number of bolts or rivets here, so the number is equal to load divided by rivet value. So the least is nothing but the rivet value. So therefore load is given as 250 and rivet value is 150. So 15 1 and 10, so approximately 1.3 something. So the number is equal to 2 bolts. So you have to see this answer, the 2 bolts are required minimum at the particular joint. This is what the meaning of how to calculate between the loads, rivet value in the examination point of view, the questions. And coming to the next question on the strength. Calculate the strength of the joint with the following information. So with reference to this particular question, you can assume the number of rivets, the data is number of rivets are 4 and capacity of each rivet in shear is equal to 25 kilonewtons, and strength of the bolt or rivet or plate in tension is equal to 150 kilonewtons. So what is rivet value? So this particular question again we can see, and the number of rivets at a particular joint we have 4 here, and the capacity of the each bolt in shear or rivet, it is nothing but only the 25 kilonewton, and from this particular one you can calculate the strength of the rivet in shear. So PS is equal to strength of rivet in shear. So the 4 rivets we have, each rivet has a strength of 25 kilonewtons. So 4 into 25, which is nothing but 100 kilonewtons. Coming to the strength of the bolt in tension, PT in tension, so it is given as 150. So coming to this particular one, so the rivet value is the least of this one. So that is 100 and 150, the least value is equal to minimum of 100 comma 150. So the 100 is minimum, therefore answer is 100 kilonewton. This is the meaning of what is the rivets and particular one. And coming to the load calculations with reference to the bearing, and we have the equation for bearing, the as Mr. Naik was asking this one, the coming to the so calculate the value of K in the bearing equation that is PB is equal to 2.5 KD into T into FB. So in this particular one, this is the equation for computation of strength of a joint or bolt with reference to the bearing. So this particular value K has to be calculated. So the K value has to be calculated based on some information. Assume the edge distance. So we can see this is the diagram, simple thing. So from center to the edge, this is the value of E, and with a simple example here. So you can use these particular values. This particular value, this is the pitch P, and this particular value is G. So pitch is given and the edge distance is given. You can calculate the value of K. Coming to the value of the K here, the first particular value K here, you can calculate from this example. Let us take this particular value. E is equal to 40 millimeters and the pitch is taken in this example, it is the pitch is taken as 65 millimeters this value. So pitch is 65 millimeters. The diameter of this particular one is equal to 22 millimeters, and the ratio of FUB by FU is equal to 1. So this is the given information from this particular question, the data. So as far as this particular problem, if you consider, you have to calculate the value of the various values of the edge distance consideration, the pitch consideration, as well as the ultimate and yield stress values which we have used here. And coming to this particular one, as far as the value of this K is the least of three condition. One is edge distance divided by the value of 3 times D naught, E is equal to E divided by 3 times D, and second condition is pitch divided by the 3 times D naught minus 0.25, and coming to the third condition, FUB by FU, and the fourth condition is the value of the K, that is 1. So this FUB by F is equal to 1. So in this particular equation, we can see all the three conditions which we have. You have to calculate the value of K from these particular conditions. It is very clear from this one, the question. So pitch is given. So the edge distance is, you can see this value is 40. So 40 divided by 3 into the diameter is directly given. So D is equal to 5 plus clearance. Assume 20 plus 2 here, it is 22. So the 22 is given. So calculate this value. Second one, the pitch is given. Pitch is given as 65 divided by 3 into the diameter 22 minus 0.25. Another one is 1. So among these three values, if we calculate 0.606, 0.735, and this value is 1. So among these three, we can see, as I mentioned, the K is the value which is taken as the least of all the three conditions. The least of all among all these things, this is the least value. Therefore, answer is K is equal to 0.606. So this is how you have to calculate what is the conditions of the bearing strength, how you have to calculate, and this bearing strength compared to shear is always higher. So only the critical one is the shear, which is the very weak in the shear. So that's all about this particular problem, how to compute the value of the K from all these three discussions. Coming to the next question. Coming to the your doubt, Mr. Differentiate between the Euler's formula, Rankine's formula, and secant formula. So these particular formulas, Euler's formula, Rankine's formula, secant formula, they are the equations Prabha Sahu, the mainly the approach which they considered in the estimations of the stresses. So there are three approaches, and accordingly they have made it three formulas. So this is entire different approach from the differentiate here. So each formula Euler has used one equation which is applicable only for the long column, and both one Rankine's formula and secant formula. So this particular one depends upon the conditions, long, short, etc. This is the formulas are used for the computation of allowable stresses. What is this particular one? In these computations of the allowable stresses, they have considered a lambda value, and this form of the equation is varies from one to the other. Coming to the your first one, the Euler's formula and Rankine's formula, the following equations are used in the computations of this particular formula. I will give you the equation for you. the computation of this particular one, the phi FCD, that is in the Euler's formula, Fy divided by gamma divided by phi plus square root of phi square minus lambda square. This is the equation, and this should be less than Fy divided by gamma. So this is what the stress consideration, and this is the yield stress, and the phi is given as 0.5 plus 0.5 into 1 plus lambda into alpha into lambda minus 0.2 plus lambda square. So this is the FCC Euler's buckling stress pi square EI divided by lambda square, and alpha is the imperfection factor, and the value of lambda is equal to square root of Fy divided by FCC. So this is the formula that is used in the computations of these particular stresses in the Euler's method. Like that, we have the different formulas, and accordingly the approach is different. Finally, the stress will not be slight variation with reference to the axial compressions. So hope Mr. Prabha Sahu. So the approach of this particular one, so it is not a competitive question, it is nothing but the analysis of the load compression. It's a good question from your side. Abhishek Srivastava, nice, can you see, send me all classes? Sure, we will send, sure, all classes, definitely the material. And what is the K? So as far as the K in the equation, as I mentioned here, P is equal to 2.5 K dt, and Fb, it is nothing but a factor which allows for the load contribution. That means this particular value of the K, as I mentioned here in the code book here, this particular value which is used in the design, it is a just the value which is going to be considered in our design equation. Like we have here, this is the area and this is this one. So these factors allowing nothing but one is taking care of the failure phenomena, another one is taking care of the stiffness, that is nothing but the strength criteria based on the values of the mainly it is nothing but a constant, I can say simply in one word, and according to the code IS code, this value has given this particular one. It is nothing but I am taking the value of minimum here in this particular one. It is K is taking care of two parameters, one the failure of the plate, if this is the rivet, and this particular edge distance is very less. If you are not maintaining proper edge distance, naturally this rivet is very near to the plate. So naturally the crack will develops, and in this particular case the plate is going to fail. So in order to not to have the plate failure, and similarly the pitch, another one is nothing but the distance between the rivets. This distance between the rivets as close as possible also you should not make, and accordingly the formula for this pitch cannot be more than 16 times T, not more than 12 times T. This is for the tension member, this is for the compression member. So keeping in view of the pitch, the spacing, and keeping in view of the edge distance, the factor is considered, and also the failure is related with the stress. Stress is calculated with reference to the load, and this particular load and stress, if you observe, as in case of the bearing or tension, as the failure can be either the plate can fail or the rivet can fail. So if the rivet is made up of with the very strong material, the plate is going to fail. That means a crack is going to tell. That means this factor is responsible for this particular phenomena. Hope you understood, Mr. Tushar Chandra, what is the importance. And coming to the K is not here the stiffness, as you mentioned, K is stiffness. Mr. Please explain about the stiffness and flexibility matrix. Again, this particular question is related with the structural analysis part here. Coming to the matrix method of analysis, and we are going to form the matrix, and it is nothing but solving a simple equation in the very simple in the matrix, how the simple thing A x B. So, Ax is equal to B and x is equal to A inverse of B. So, this particular one x values in the stiffness matrix, the two important things, one we have to see the load, another one is the deflection. So, the entire, in case of the slope deflection methods, your equations are related with in terms of the angles. Same thing here, the stiffness refers to K is equal to the load causing unit deflection. So, the stiffness values which you are going to compute here, and accordingly you are expressing in terms of the stiffness in this particular one K1, K2, and accordingly the deflection you are going to finally calculate using this one what is the load that is going to be calculated. So, calculate the inverse of the matrix. Inverse is equal to adjoint of A divided by determinant of A into the value of B. So, calculate the adjoint, determinant and multiply it with this one. So, you are going to calculate what is the loads finally from this one. This is what the matrix analysis we express in terms of this equation, and going to calculate the inverse and as well as the determinant, that is adjoint of A by determinant, and you are going to calculate this one. Hope Mr. Tushar Chandra, I hope your doubt flexibility matrix and stiffness. So, the flexibility is reference to the E into I. So, it is nothing but again it is strength parameter. The flexibility, that is the flexural rigidity, is nothing but E into I. So, coming to this particular one, the cross section dimension, and coming to the stiffness, it is nothing but the load. So, both are related with the strength parameters. Coming to the Tushar Chandra, good explanation for secant formula. So, the secant formula is again a very lengthy equation. So, this time is not permitted to write, and it is a very lengthy equation. And Naresh Sir, your lecture, thank you very much, and continue the lectures, design subject. Sure, in the coming sessions we will introduce RCC, concrete structures, that is steel, concrete and construction management, the hydrology, irrigation. So, various subjects definitely we will focus environmental, surveying. So, every subject is a very competitive examination point of view. Surely we will introduce so many courses, Mr. Naresh. Thank you for you. And coming to the design subjects like hydraulic and water resource engineering, irrigation structures, hydrological parameters for design of the dam and design of the bridge. So, definitely in all these cases, definitely the designs will focus. Surely we will introduce you. The Mr. Atul Tiwari, SSC ka class ka important. So, definitely an important, every exam is very important with reference to the preparation, and so you have to see that. Please keep in your mind, any examination you are going to prepare, every exam is an important, the output is getting one job. We are waiting for one job. That job can be from any department. It can be with a simple gate score and the public sector undertakings, you can have it. It can be any exam from the state level examinations, service commission. It can be anything from the IES, Indian Engineering Services, that is ESC, and coming to this particular RRB and JE, which is a maximum the multi-sector job opportunities with very prestigious organizations for the employment, and surely every exam should be considered as an important, and 100% preparation you have to make it with all these particular focus JE app, and please prepare. And coming to civil SOM subject, strength of materials, definitely we will start one of the very important course for civil engineers, and with reference to the Mr. Tushar, the faculties, it is all with the administration and management. As far as my lectures, whatever I am going to cover the maximum topics and maximum lectures, subjects also, surely I will help you in getting the good knowledge to you, Mr. Tushar. And coming to Ramesh Ji, continue this free classes up to exam. Definitely your doubt, the explanations of this particular one, it is mainly the free lectures on YouTube, so on various subjects, and the live lectures are paid lectures, again with the materials, that is a PDF files we are going to provide. So the test series we are going to provide, mock test we are going to give, assignments we are going to give, quiz we are going to do, at the end analysis also we are going to send you the report. Sure, all these things will help you so very much. So Mr. Vinod Ganesh, so thank you very much for you also. So definitely the lectures whatever we are focusing here, so every lecture which we made it is very clear with reference to concepts. As I mean to say, your concept if you are very clear, surely you are able to crack the examination. So it is very clean and very clear, and 100% preparation when you reach, then only you are going to get any job. So please my dear students, any competitive examination from the point of view of preparation, 100% preparation means it's not 100% syllabus study or coverage of the subject. Study this 100% is a part of the examination, and in addition to this 100% syllabus coverage with the contents and topic, make it very clear 100% preparation. First thing, you learn the concept of every topic. These concepts are very clearly explained in a very lucid and very clear manner. You can understand this particular concept. The second one is, as I mentioned always, the practice makes a man perfect. So with reference to the practice, you must have immediately the lecture, the live lectures, and the by the expert faculties which you are going to listen, and then practice the questions through quiz, assignments, tutorials, and mock tests, as well as the various methods which we mentioned in our app. You please follow up to get for 100% preparation. The third one is the practice. The practice also should be made according to the weightage of the course and the time. So the time also to be equally allocated to cover the syllabus. So this time, the classes, lectures with the doubts and the examination, everything covers for these particular examinations from 24th June to 29, 2019. So this is the start of the course, and this is the end of the course through the app Focus JE. So this Focus JE, it clearly suggests you to concentrate on this particular one. It's already the free version is available. So practice, you can go through this particular one and practice according to this particular one. So the thing is, you should be very careful from any time. One, you have to see that it's very clear, the doubts must be cleared. As I am very happy for your doubts session which you made me, really every question is useful in the examination. So unless you are not clear with the doubts and the doubt is not clarified properly, so the lectures whatever you studied is not 100%. So 100% lectures means it is nothing but 100% preparation without doubt, with the quiz, with the assignments, with the mock test, with the analysis. Then only you reach to the 100% the preparation. Otherwise 100% preparation means not simply covering the syllabus of 100. So hope you understood this particular concept of these technical papers which you are going to face in RRB and SSC examinations. So it is also very clearly gives you the lectures of every problems which I focus simply for this particular session, the YouTube session. It is only for few examples, just I illustrated the models which you normally the questions which it is going to come. Like that, any competitive examination, as I mentioned, always the level of question is different and concept is same. So as I mentioned, D is equal to 5 plus 2.5 or D is equal to 5 plus 1.5 or D is equal to in case of bolts 5 plus 1, 5 plus 2, 5 plus 3. All these concepts will not change. And the rolled steel sections, as Mr. Ganesh, so the steel manufacturing process and rolled steel section, our code is very clear. The section is rolled steel and it is nothing but the process of the steel manufacturing process and the grade of the steel and all the sections which it is made it here. The steel can be used for various purpose, and for our structural engineering purpose, a structural steel is different from the normal steel, and these particular rolled steel sections are mainly for the structural purpose. Their manufacturing and strength and stability varies from normal steel materials. That is why we follow here all the steel sections which we are going to use, the rolled steel section, and it is nothing but the manufacturing and the grade and the strength and the percentage of the steel material. The steel consists of the ductile material, various combination the process has been taken place in order to produce the steel bars or steel sections. They are all the rolled steel sections with reference to the steel section design, which we have covered according to the course IS 800 2007. The code itself is IS 800 2007 steel code. It is every section steel table, it is rolled steel section. I think Mr. Vinod Ganesh, I hope you understood this particular the doubt, what is this rolled steel section, why we have to use only this particular section. Mainly it is based on the strength point of view, the load carrying capacity of the member. So hope the doubts are cleared. So some of the example I could illustrate for you, and so further we will meet in the further sessions of this particular lectures. We are going to meet of this particular one, the according to the schedules, updated programs. Surely we will meet Mr. all my dear friends to surely as in the further the development. So we will definitely do in our and A to Z star. So surely as your name itself, A to Z, definitely Hindi is one of the national language, and definitely we will focus on the communication and the doubts session. Certain things also will be clarified through your language and our language. Surely this parameter also will be considered in the further sessions. So thank you very much one and all the participants for patience to listen and the cooperate this particular lecture. Thank you one and all.